Welcome to Maritime Matters, a podcast focused on leaders in the maritime market, the people, the companies, the technologies that are making and breaking the news, helping to lead the maritime industry to a safer, more efficient, more profitable, and cleaner future. Welcome aboard. This is Greg Troutline with Maritime Matters, the MarineLink Podcast, and we're here today with a trio of executives from Brennan. Adam Binsfeld, President, Brennan Marine, Brennan's fleeting and inland towing business. Janelle Pogodzinski, Brennan's Chief Human Capital Officer, and Justin Scherf, the Director of Brennan Underwater Services Group, to discuss this legacy, multifaceted U.S. marine construction, and subsea company, and explore its cumulative efforts to attract and retain the staff, the mariners it needs to power its future. So, everyone, again, I a sincere thank you for spending your time here with me today. And I gave the brief overview. But before we start talking about careers at Brennan, I'd appreciate if each of you could give me a short career background, specifically insights on your cumulative experience in the maritime sector and a synopsis of your responsibilities today.
So I have been with Brennan for about 5 years of my 25-year career. I have about 10 in construction in general, but the rest of it is in manufacturing, warehousing, transportation. And from my perspective, my job is all about people, right? It's all about getting people, keeping people, and what is their employee experience while they're at Brennan? And even more, how do we make sure that if they do choose to leave us, that they still have a good experience? Because that impacts the workplace as well. So my job is really making sure that we have all those things in place, that we're giving our people the right training, that we're identifying the right people in the right jobs, and that people enjoy working here.
Yeah, on my end, I worked here when I was younger. Through grade school, high school, we'd come and do odd jobs here, sorting bulbs, cleaning bilges, whatnot. I came back to the company I went away for school, took a job elsewhere for a while, and then came back in 2008 and started working at Brennan Marine. And since that time, I've had various jobs within Brennan Marine, and now I'm president. We have locations in Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Iowa, and Wisconsin.
Okay. Adam, I appreciate that. And what you just said, actually, and just as a comparison, like New Wave Media, we're actually a fourth generation family owned company. We were started in New York in 1939. And as I like to joke, unfortunately, it wasn't my family. But one of the things that you said that just kind of reminded me something of my conversation with Matt that I absolutely loved, because I know you have other family members in the business, is that you graduate college, you go out to work for the competition. Then, if your resume looks good enough, you get back in. And I thought that was absolutely priceless. So anyway, last but certainly not least, Justin.
Great. So Justin Scherf, been in the commercial diving industry for going on over 30 years, 31, 32 years. Started out early in the Navy, did some time sailing the seven seas on a destroyer, and my career kind of advanced to the underwater world eventually in fast boats, and had a really cool Navy career, transitioned into the commercial diving world. I was a mercenary. A mercenary in our business is a freelance guy. So I jumped all over the country and got to see a lot of cool things. And that eventually led me to the Midwest and to Brennan. We came over as an acquisition of ProDive about 12 years ago. And it's been magical ever since. The Binsfields have given us kind of a open pathway to do what we need to do, and we're certainly do it. So I serve as the director of the group, kind of responsible for overseeing operations, supporting project execution, and driving the growth of our group, and it has definitely grown. So that's me in a nutshell.
In my opening, I briefly framed the discussion for workforce development. And, as a background, as I just said, Maritime Reporter and Engineering News, I've been here since 1992. So I basically have a 34-year window into the global maritime sector. Recruitment is not my area of expertise by any stretch, but unequivocally over the last 5 to 10 years, we've had more conversations, more noise. The emphasis on building and maintaining workforce in every facet of maritime has grown louder each and every year. Um, Late last year, as I mentioned previously, I had the opportunity to take a deep dive into Brennan in overview with Matt Binsfeld. But to start us off and to give our audience some context, can one or all of you provide a by the numbers look at Brennan today, something that just gives a size and a scope, a depth and a breadth to Brennan operations?
Sure, I can do that. The organization consists of two companies, Brennan Marine, which is our fleeting operations, as you touched on, and there's 5 locations in the U.S. for that company, and then JF Brennan Company, which is our construction side. We have 8 office locations and complete scopes of work in the environmental, construction, underwater, and cable industries. So all the work we do is above, below, or adjacent to water. Since 2020, we went from being a Midwest organization to a coast to coast and doing work in Canada as well. Our employee count went from 342 to over 650. In 2025, our retention rates in Brennan Marine were 49%, and in the construction side of our business, 81%, with an overall retention of 75% in union and 86% for non-union. So a lot going on in the organization, a lot of growth in the organization, but also keeping a lot of people in the organization.
From the diving standpoint, we're seeing huge growth in the industry with the aging infrastructure. That's causing the demand for commercial diving for divers all around. The subsea world is expanding. So we're actively, we never stop looking, we never stop hiring. There's a lot of turnover in the industry. It's a young woman's sport game, and you guys kind of get burnt out of it at some point in time. So we're always looking, and again, bridges and dams and locks are aging quickly and starting to fall apart. So the outlook is good for our world.
Yeah, I'd add to that and say the world's awash in water-facing infrastructure issues, and that's what we do. And the future is bright for companies like us.
Absolutely. Actually, last summer I was out in Pittsburgh with the Army Corps of Engineers, and I was in one of those dams that was built in 1923, 24, and we talk about it all the time, but until you actually walk it and you get in it and you see that technology, that's when it comes screaming home. So again, appreciate that very much. So I know I mentioned it or I referenced it already, my previous conversation with Matt, but one of the things that really struck me when I really took a deep dive into Brennan last year was the deep family history and community links. So when you look at that as a card to lay on the table, I mean, I guess what does the role of company culture play in workforce development, and how do you ensure people feel connected to the overall mission?
If I'd say the culture is one of our biggest assets here, probably second to people, right? Culture is what makes the organization sticky. It makes it a great place for a young person to come and to learn, grow their career, to spend their time, and I think, I mean, the role of culture in the organization and workforce development is huge. You get a lot of seasoned folks out here that they know the job, and things are very different for them now than when they started, but they see the importance of developing young people, teaching them, a bit different than things used to be taught, but nonetheless, that's how our culture is really guiding our workforce development right now. How does people feel connected to the mission, and that's through culture, right? Our mission is, we don't post it on every door and sign around the company, right? But our mission is carried out every day on job sites, and the culture that that we enjoy here is really how we get our work done, right? How we're all swimming in the same direction to get the jobs completed safely, efficiently, quality product, and the culture is really what drives that.
That's spectacular. Justin or Janelle, do you have anything to add to that?
One of the things that we see in the underwater world, like I said, guys move around. A lot of the guys are the freelance, and they can go anywhere and do anything and go to different companies. But it seems like they always come back, and they've understood the fact that there is a cultural difference here. They see it, that they're not just a number; they're actually a person, and that there's a huge growth opportunity. So that's pretty exciting to hear from young guys. We have some of the youngest people in the company, and when those guys kind of go or come back and they can define that we have a culture, most of them don't even know what the word means, but then they realize, they come back, they're like, hey, I think I get it now. So
we like to say that if Jim Brennan, my great grandfather, if he were to come back today, he would he may recognize the company by the equipment and maybe by the people, but he would certainly recognize his company by the culture, the way we do our work.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Janelle, you want to add a little something?
The only thing was that, we make it sticky through what we call the Brennan Way, and it's our culture tenets, right? And so it's a card that we all carry. We give one to every new employee when they come in the door, and it's a piece of all of our safety meeting every morning on every job site. They pick a tenet and they talk about it. And how does it apply? And that's what makes it sticky, is because it's not just something that's on a wall in the corporate office that nobody ever talks about. It's something that's talked about everywhere all the time. People know when we say the Brennan Way what it is. They pull out their card, and that's really how we ingrain it in the organization.
My question is, looking at Brennan, and again, I realize that your area of operations and recruitment and the needs are really diverse. Can you discuss the recruitment needs in the company holistically with a laser focus on what you see as the most pressing recruitment needs today?
Yeah, I'll start on that one since it's my group that leads that charge. But it's a whole company effort. It's not just on one group, right? Overall, finding strong talent is generally challenging. There's a 19% decrease in birth rates since 2000. Those fewer birth rates today mean that there's fewer 16 to 24-year-olds available for tomorrow's apprenticeships, field crews, shipyards, marine operations. So while the participation in trades is growing, they're still significantly less than the enrollment rates at college institutions, which continues to create a gap. Couple that with the fact that the population is aging and experience is leaving our companies at a faster rate than we can replace it. The industry often requires experience, and it takes time to be able to do this work. We're often looking for people who have marine experience, which is like looking for a purple unicorn. I tell Justin that all the time. So it's one of those things that we really have to focus on. And with that, it's not easy to do. We need to do that additional training, and it takes a lot of people to do that. So from a professional standpoint, our project managers are the toughest for us to find. And a lot of that has to do with the knowledge of what we do. And it's not something that you can learn just anywhere. There's not a lot of companies that do it. And so it gets extremely competitive in finding those individuals. And because of the type of work that we do across the country in our projects, they have to travel a lot. And that's good while they're young and they're excited about it because they want to go see the US and they get to do that and all of that kind of stuff. But then they start having families and then they don't want to travel as much, right? And so then that creates a challenge because you don't want to lose that talent because that talent's what's going to feed your future. But at the same time, you still need the people to go into the field and do the work. So it's certainly something that we talk about on a regular basis of what different things do we try and how do we find people to continue to feed that pipeline.
No, that's awesome insights. And again, I hear you on the travel because I've been traveling at speed for like 34 years and change. And as I told my wife last time I walked out the door, I'm like, if I never went to another trade show or a conference again, I think I would die a perfectly happy man. So, but that I digress on that one again. We're here to talk about your company. So, did either of you want to add anything to that?
The big thing for us in recruiting and keeping people is number one, you have to have the work. You got to keep people busy. People want to work. People want to provide for their families. So having that continuity of work in our industry, there's a lot of it goes from big project to big project to big project, and once that big project is over, there might not be something until that next big project. So we've kind of become masters of our own industry in keeping that continuity. We get that fill-in work to help with that continuity so we keep people so we don't lose people to the freelance market. And the third thing, I think, the first was kind of the culture, getting people in, people enjoy the culture. Then you got to have the work. And then the third thing is meaningful work. We're now, I would say, not to toot our own horn, we're leaders in the industry. So the work that we're performing now is so complex and so diverse, it's really attracting people. So you have to have that really good quality work to keep people around. And I think we're doing a great job of it. And that's a challenge for all companies out there. Having that good, meaningful work. If you get locked into one thing, you get locked into one task, you start to lose people's attention. So, and like Janelle said, we are traveling gypsies. We travel, and keeping guys interested and able to do that. We're seeing a change in the workforce. People want to be home more. The newer generations, they want more time off. They want to spend more times with their families and friends. So we've had to really develop and kind of challenge ourselves. And back when I started, it was you didn't get a day off. It was go 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 go. But no, it's developing that culture that keeps people interested and keeping them happy.
I hear you, Justin. We were talking about the massive snow in New York. When I started in New York, it wasn't a matter of, oh, I'm going to work from home. It's like, hey, we had 3 feet of snow. Oh, what time are you going to? Okay, you'll be in an hour late then, I guess. I'm sorry. Adam, did you want to add anything to that before I moved on?
Yeah, well, for the boat crews, we like to get young people out of high school. No work experience is fine, and we can teach them the job. They show up on time with a good attitude and ready to work, and this would be a great career. We can teach them how to work safely on the water, and there's a lot of career paths that they could take within the organization from there. But yeah, it's our turnover rate's quite high but I would say that's limited to people that's been with us for a year, right? Because this job's not for everybody. It's tough. It's a difficult schedule. Rain or shine, we're out there working, and when we go through a lot of young people that this job isn't for them, and that's fine. But we have to cast a wide net to find those folks that find this as a worthy career.
Say that is a picture perfect segue into my next question, Adam, because where do you find your best employees today? I mean, again, some of the traditional paths But are they coming from maritime academies, from technical schools, military veterans, completely outside the industry, a little bit of everything? I guess where are you finding people today?
To that, the answer is yes. We find them every, we, like I said, we cast a wide net. It used to be we'd have a steady stream of hardworking young people coming off the family farm throughout the Midwest. Right, that's not the case anymore. And we're going into high schools, middle schools, some cases grade schools, just to get the word out about our the work we do and the fulfilling career that they should think about in construction and working on the water.
Yeah.
Excellent. Justin, did you know?
Yes. I'll mirror what Adam said. Yes. Yes to everything. From the trade schools to there are actual commercial diving schools that we're actively recruiting from, but a big part of ours, like I said before, is word of mouth. Divers, everybody talks in our industry. So once you have something good that your buddy tells your buddy tells your buddy, let's come over here. And then also, like Adam said, we go to vocational schools, and we've done presentations at grade schools, and to really get the push and the drive and the excitement up in the industry. We've had great success. We recently hired a guy from the East Coast that I went to a vocational school a couple years ago, did a presentation for a welding class. Unbeknownst to me, he got into the diving industry, and then we just hired him. So that's kind of a feel good situation where I guess I was able to get him on a path. Now I got to keep him working. So, whew, the pressure's on.
That's awesome. Janelle, before I move on, anything to add?
Yeah, I would add that recruitment's changed significantly in the last 20 years. It used to be that it was the short term, right? That you posted a job, you hoped somebody applied to it, you interviewed whoever applied, and you hired one of those people. That doesn't happen much anymore. You have to be very specific about how you go look for people. And the amount of efforts that we put into schools and other groups in the industry that are doing work in this space, because there are a lot of groups doing work in the space of workforce development, joining with them, joining with other construction companies. We have 3 companies in the La Crosse area that every year we do a Kids in Construction in connection with our Boys and Girls Club. And those kids love to come see us, and we show them something different every year, and we make it different for them. But it's just engaging, right? And it is the long game because you don't know if those kids are going to come or not. And one of the things I talk about with my colleagues a lot in the construction industry is we have to work together instead of working against each other. If we keep trying to do that, people aren't going to join the industry. Our goal is to get them to join the industry. They may not want to be here long term, but get them in the industry, they may circle back. And I think that's really where we need to spend more of our focus is on how we just get people into the industry.
That's amazing. And again, so I've worked on various projects over the years, with youth, whether it's judging, engineering competitions. But I think my favorite, and my boys now are 29 and 27, so this is a long time ago. But I remember when my oldest was in kindergarten, I went in and gave a tugboat presentation, and we have McAllister Towing right here in New York. So I got a box of goods, a wheel, some line, ropes, everything. And they were tripping over themselves. They love finding out about it. Did it parlay into anything? I have no idea, but who knows? So again, I appreciate that. So, my next question, I'm really looking at some of the mega trends. Obviously, your business, if you look at the evolution of your business, you're doing a lot of the same things, but you're doing a lot of different things as well. And the context for this question, I always like to look at like the mega trends driving businesses today. What you see now or on the horizon that's really kind of changing your business. When I usually talk about this, it's from the digitalization side because I'm seeing a lot of CIOs or chief technology officers coming into the maritime industry that don't have traditional maritime background. So Long-winded question put simply, what are the mega trends driving Brennan's cumulative businesses today that are fundamentally changing the types of workers that you seek to attract and retain?
I got a good one. Technology, 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 technology. Our industry, our side of the water world is so technology driven right now. The need for sonars, ROVs, data collection tools, your drones, everything else. We're doing a lot of the work that we've done for decades. We're now doing it with technology, and that's changing. That's really changing the market. There's always going to be a need for divers, but what our deliverable in the end is changing dramatically. So that technology is supplementing. Sometimes it's getting those divers out of the water. So we're seeing a change and I go to diving schools and I talk to them about it, about that need. Clients don't necessarily want that diver in the water. They need that ROV in the water. So I'm pushing the industry to say, hey, let's train these divers on these forms of tech right at the beginning. Instead of us getting them and training them, let's have them have the wheels going right when they get here. So I can't say it enough. And every day our use of iPads for supervisors and laptops, it's changing so quickly. All of our supervisors have that in their back pocket. So having simple computer skills is more so important. Every single day, every week, it's advancing quicker and quicker. So,
But when you look at the available recruitment tools today in your tool belt, from your experience, which ones work the best?
Uh, yeah, current employees and client referrals. Those are it's not a tool necessarily, but it is a tool, right? It's not technology. It's about who we are. And we've talked about it several times on here that reputation is what brings a lot of people in the door. Beyond that, the participation in schools and communities, showcasing our strong culture, those are all very important. The tools that our recruiter uses the most, and that's mostly in professional recruiting, for the project managers and things of that nature, is going to be LinkedIn and Zoom Info. And those two are really where she can build a passive pipeline. And I think that's becoming more and more important in the recruiting world today, is the people who aren't looking for the job, but that get triggered by, oh, that's I didn't know that existed, right? Those types of things, those conversations usually take 6 months to a year before somebody decides to pull the trigger, right? And that's really important. And to get to those people, you have to have tools that get you past their email where they hit delete, or get you past the phone message that they don't want to listen to a recruiter, right? So it's those types of things that really help us build that passive pipeline.
I think, to add to that, sorry to jump in, to add to
Please.
that, just talking about it in the community, talking about it, amongst the folks that already work here, and at the end of the day, there's no better feedback, than when somebody, by word of mouth, whether it's from friend to friend or a family member that comes in here and says, "Hey, my dad works here, and is there anything that would any jobs available for me?" Or my friend told me to come check it out. They don't even go to LinkedIn; they just come straight here or call, and that's in my area, that is by far the best way to get young people in the door.
Switching gears here a little bit because when you look at all the workforce development strategies that you've tried, are there any that didn't work? And I guess what lessons were learned from that?
The one that comes to mind is the shotgun approach to college recruiting and career fairs, right? So go to as many things as you can, get out there, do that. And that takes a lot of effort and a lot of people time and pulling people off jobs, because we don't just take our recruiter. We have one recruiter for us, and so we don't just take that person out there. We also bring the business with us. We'll grab divers, we'll grab people who work on our boats, and we'll take them with us. And that just is not as effective. What we learned was it's more effective to determine which schools or career fairs are bringing in the people who best fit us, right? Who tend to attract the type of individuals that we want to hire, that have the work ethic that we're looking for, that want the type of culture that we offer. And then spending more time with those schools, not just going to the career fairs, but going into their classes, spending time with their outside organizations, right, and sponsoring them and doing those types of things. So then those kids, they know our name the minute they walk in, and they're looking for us when it comes time to looking for a job, because they're familiar with us. They know people, right? Things today, it seems that kids are much more comfortable picking an organization where they know someone. And so getting that out there is really important.
From my perspective, one of the biggest challenges is the time it actually takes to develop in the industry. For years, death by PowerPoint, trying to fast track people through the system, and it failed. It doesn't work. You have to be out there. You have to be in the field. If you want to be a strong leader, or a good diver, a great pile driver, a great carpenter, it takes exposure. It takes exposure to different projects. It takes exposure to different leaders, and learn from each leader. So, unfortunately, we get busy, and we put, we have the potential for just trying to fast track guys through, and the science experiment doesn't work. You have to have people out there in the field learning, and another part of it is mentorship. We get too busy on our jobs. We get, there's so much workload, and we lose some of that mentorship. We succeed when we have mentors. We put the young guys with an experience, with a good journeyman, and they really teach them and coach them. Again, when it gets too busy, you lose a lot of that mentorship. It's just go, 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 do the job, do the job, do the job. So always remembering, kind of taking it back to your roots and getting that mentorship and getting that training for those young guys is definitely a challenge that we fight every single day, making sure everybody's trained and trained well.
Just to add to both comments there, I'd say, the nice thing about the, you look at the employment life cycle, call it, recruitment, training, and retention, right? And on the recruitment side, it's okay to fail fast. So we, in my area, if something doesn't work, we're not putting newspaper ads out anymore. But that, if we did, it may or may not work, but we have to cast a wide net. And just because it doesn't work now doesn't mean it's not going to work in 5 years. But in the recruitment side, it's okay if an effort doesn't go as well as we had hoped. Right? We move on, fail fast, and move on to the next effort.
So that's awesome, Matt. I literally was just cleaning out junk over the weekend. I came across an old college portfolio, and I actually had cover letters that I had sent, or copies of cover letters I sent with the clippings from the newsprint. But trust me, when I saw that, I felt a little bit older and felt like I needed a nap. But that's okay. So, when I had the conversation last year with Matt. We discussed very briefly, he had mentioned Brennan University, but I guess what specifically is Brennan University? When was it founded? And I guess most importantly, how is it used within your organization to both recruit and retain?
So Brennan University started as a concept in 2018, 2019. We hired our learning development manager in 2022. And it's designated to all things learning, right? It's about the retention of our people. Not just, it's a continual building process. So it's about One side of it is helping our project managers bring them up to speed faster. So we've created a program that has, I don't know, I think 60 some short videos in them that teaches them how to do their job at Brennan, right? And the things that are specific to us. And that's all intended to try and do that mentorship piece without everybody else getting busy and bogged down, right? So getting them to learn that faster. The other piece of it is the leadership side. So we this year are launching our leadership journey. We're going to have 3 different levels to this program, and it's really intended to teach our people from you're a great individual contributor, and now we want you to become a leader within the organization. And, in the past, it's been, here you go, you've got the title, go figure it out. And now, and I think that's across the industry, right? That's not unique to Brennan. But we have to teach people how to be good leaders if we're going to keep people in our organization. And that's really what Brennan University is about. It's also connecting to, we have a career development program that just launched in the last year along with our succession program. Both of those items identify what does the individual want to do when they grow up, is what I like to say, right? And how do we help them get there? So what are the competencies that they need to learn? What are the soft skills? What are the hard skills? Where do they want to grow? Because if we don't understand that and we just try to push stuff at them, they're not going to digest it. And so we're going from an approach of how can we offer as much as possible where they can go get it when they want to, but then also have things that are designated that are, you've been tagged as this, right? And you're going to have the opportunity to participate in something that not everybody gets to do, right? So there's a balance of being, go get what you want, but also we want to recognize you for the work that we're doing and we want to put some effort into you. So I think all of that encompasses that. And then also our safety side, we do a ton of training. Safety is the most important thing, and we're in a dangerous industry. We have to make sure that people understand all of the safety rules and regulations and how we want them to do work. And so we help the safety department with that. And our team, we have an instructional designer on staff who can create the programs and can help them do the training and things of that nature. So it's really an all-encompassing, and it's going to continue to grow and morph as we continue to grow as an organization.
Yeah, just on a very simplistic side of it. So if we get a new piece of technology, for instance, a new video system, we're able to create our own, either a video or training module, PowerPoint, or even just documents. We send it over to Janelle and her team, and they'll upload it, and then all of our divers out across the country from coast to coast have the ability to go in and we'll shoot out hey, go check this video out, learn how to use this new system. And they can access Brennan University and access all of these different training modules, and they can click on it and actually learn what we're teaching right, from the home office. So it spreads across our whole entire network. So it's a great way, like Janelle said, a lot of safety training, a lot of technology, the PMs. Like we wanted to teach our PMs about what we do in the underwater world. So we created a diving portion. A lot of people didn't know. I watched a module on some of the dredge capping that we do that I had no idea we were doing. So that it makes everyone a salesman for the company. When what does Brennan do? And well, I know what I do, but I don't know what the rest of Brennan does. So it really helps us out in the industry across the board.
I think you might agree. Recruitment gets a lot of the headlines, but I think retention is where the real challenge and value often lies. I guess, what have you learned about keeping talented people in your workforce long time?
I would say, it goes back to the quality of work and also movement in the company. Brennan has been fantastic with advancement. For instance, we had a young diver tender that started out with the company, started his career as a apprentice diver, worked his way up through the diving, began supervising, and then kind of flipped over, and now he's a director in our construction group. There is a ton of movement like that in the company, and I think, and that's what the newer generations clamor for, that more information, more opportunities. That keeps that not only does it keep them here, but it keeps their excitement level. No job is the same if you're working on this side of the company. So being diverse like that and having that not only vertical movement but lateral movement is so important for companies, and Brennan has uh, excelled at it to the nth degree, being able to do that from the lowest guy on the totem pole up to a director in a totally different area. That's amazing. So that's my side of it anyway.
Obviously, you have many facets, and there's every level of job. But what does a career path look like at the company? And can someone realistically come in at the entry level, and it sounds like they can, and expect or hope to grow into a leadership position?
100% they can. 100%. We have certain roles. Adam was talking about, finding people on his team on the deckhand side of it. A lot of times those individuals come in, they work on the deckhand side for a few years, and then they grow into something else. And it might be within the BMI side of our business, and it could be on the JF Brennan side of the business, right? And so it's not just limited to the business that they're in, it can go across. And I would say that a lot of it is driven by the way that we're now trying to do it is really trying to show people where their careers can go. So we're creating career maps. We're in the process of doing that to show people what could that look like, because that's where we get a lot of our questions from young individuals coming into the organization is they don't know what it could look like, so they don't know what to dream for. And so if we're able to show them what a path might look like and then be able to give them something that says, this is how you get there, and that's where our career development plans come into place, whether it's the programs that we're developing in Brennan University, we use outside coaching, we might send people to different things that are curated by the union or conferences or things of that nature. So there's so many different tools that we can use. It's really dependent on the person. And I think the important thing for us to remember as an employer is because we've always done it one way doesn't mean we have to keep doing it that way. And making sure that we keep an open mind to changing how we do work and to changing how we expect others to do work. Because I think that's going to be our challenge in the industry is these new the kids coming out of high school, out of college, they want to do work differently. Their priorities are different than when we came out of school 25, 30 years ago. And so it's really making sure that we're managing that and that we're meeting those expectations or they won't stay.
Janelle, that's such an excellent point. Like I said, I was just recently. I grew up in Cincinnati, or just north of Cincinnati, and I was just there for a business function. And I was having a similar conversation. And listen, I grew up not far from the Ohio River, which is a major maritime artery. When I was growing up, I didn't know. I didn't even maritime wasn't even in my brain box. It wasn't even a consideration. And again, there are so many hurdles. So before I move on, does anybody have anything to add to that last one?
I just to add to that, you asked if a young person could expect, advancement to a leadership position, and I'd say that that's also our expectation, our hope and expectation, and it's on us to create the path for them to realize that goal. But if you look at the Brennan Group, the Brennan organization, there are a couple people on the executive team, vice presidents here that started as deckhands. So the opportunity is real. And
And again, I keep referring back to it, but I remember when I had the conversation with Matt, he said his first job at the company was when he was 10 years old counting bolts.
yeah, yeah. I had a similar job, middle school. You come here and size up the bolt, measure it, sort it, count it, inventory the bolt, and you take a lot of pride in your job. And I'd worked here, summers through high school, and one of my last summers here, we cleaned up the shop, and I was tasked with scrapping all of the bolts that we had been counting over the years. And it was a little defeating, but that's just life.
Greg,
Yeah, go ahead, Justin, please.
I look at, I'm always looking at our competitors, and it again, I kind of referenced it earlier that the newer generations of workers that are coming in, they clamor for that kind of movement. They want to know that there is something else for them. And I think the companies, I've seen some of our competitors die that don't follow that model. If there is no path for advancement, that archaic way will destroy a company. And I've seen it. I've been watching it. We all watch our industry partners, and we watch our competitors, and I have seen some failures very recently of companies that just don't do that. They don't allow that, and then they lose good employees. And once you lose your best employees, what else do you have?
Covered that ad nauseum infinitum. So, and I know we're coming down to the wire here. So I have just two questions left. Excuse me, two questions left. So, looking then holistically, I guess, what do you consider to be the greatest challenge to maritime workforce development today, and how is recruiting in maritime materially different from when you started your career?
I can start with that one. Less people in the workplace in general. There's less people who want to work in the trades in the way that of work is different, right? I mentioned that a couple of times, but also the concept of workplace balance. I don't like calling it that anymore. To me, it's workplace alignment. And the reason why I say that is that my balance is not the same as Justin's balance, is not the same as Adam's balance, right? We're in different places in our lives, and my balance today is different than it was 5 years ago, right? And so to me, it's more alignment in the stage of life that we're in and the stage of where the business is. And so really trying to get us to think outside of the box when it comes to how we look at that, because it's not something that we're going to be able. I think a lot of companies try to apply it across everybody, right? The balance, we want to have a program that balances it for everybody. The problem with that is you're never going to hit it because not everybody's the same. And so how are we looking at that? What are we doing differently? How do we give some autonomy but still get done what we need to get done? I think we don't have the magic bullet. I wish we did, right? Crystal ball, whatever you would like to have. But I think keeping working on that and keeping trying to figure out and talking to our people and getting out in the field and understanding what their challenges are and what can we do different. It might be a tweak this year. It might be a tweak next year. But how do we continue to move that needle?
I kind of hit on it before. We all hit on it. Is getting out to the challenges. There's more work. The aging infrastructure that we've spoken about several times. There's more work. We need more people. We didn't recruit in our industry before. People answered the newspaper, like Adam said. There was plenty of people to go around that would get into the industry, and you started your progression of training. Now the competition is fierce, and like I said, going to a vocational school, never in a million years that I think giving a presentation at a high school welding class was going to lead to an employee signing on a couple years down the line. So changing that mentality of how we get, like, going to those schools, going to that next generation of workers, getting them, number one, interested in the industry, and then hopefully they come on board with Brennan. But it's totally revamped our system on how we actually go out. let's get to those schools. Let's get them young. We got to get them young, or we're not getting them. So,
Well, everyone on this, I very much appreciate your time. I just had one more question. I know I loaded you up with a lot of questions, and we're definitely coming down to the end here. So, really, just one more thing, and I think we've kind of talked about it in various ways, but very simply, if a 20-year-old walks up to you today and says, "Why should I choose a career in maritime?" or more specifically, "Why should I choose a career with Brennan?" What would you tell
it's different every single day. No 2 days are the same in the maritime industry, in my view. No two projects are the same. Nothing is the same. And for young me, that's what I craved. I wanted that different. I didn't want to be in the same place at the same time, day after day after day. So that difference, and then I do it to my wife these days, all over. We're driving all over the country, and I say, hey, I worked on that bridge. I have a piece of all that infrastructure. That it's a self pride that my wife gets sick of it, but I love looking at, hey, Brennan helped work on that bridge, or hey, that lock and dam. So that pride is what keeps what gets people into the industry, especially the newer generation. They got to have that different lifestyle, and that's how I feel about it. It is no 2 days are the same.
I'd say, I'd tell them it's not for everybody. It's hard work, working on the water. But at the end of the day, it is fulfilling work with wonderful people in a great company, a growing company, and the infrastructure needs in our country are everywhere, and like I said earlier, water-facing infrastructure needs are they'll be around for many years to come, and so the work is there. And if you think it's for you, it is a wonderful, wonderful industry, wonderful people, and a great company.
That is fantastic. So, Adam, Janelle, Justin, I can't thank you enough. I truly do appreciate you taking your time. Everyone's busy these days, and Janelle, I was particularly interested to hear that you rely on LinkedIn, because I'll share when and where this will go, but we have a very large LinkedIn group that stitches together all that we do. So we'll be promoting this along many different channels. So again, a sincere thank you to all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us, Greg.
Thank you for listening to Maritime Matters. If you would like to be featured on a future Maritime Matters podcast, visit www.marinelink.com or email maritimematters@marinelink.com.